Relationship Tenets of Emotional Bandwidth, Part 3 of 4. Emotional Luggage. What should I and should I not bring into romantic relationships? Hi, this is Emotional Bandwidth. I'm Adrian, and this is Part 3 of my series on relationships and how that plays into your self-help and relationship help. Let's get into it. So I spoke about friendships and how they impact romantic relationships. I've also discussed the core dynamic we create in any meaningful relationship, the you, us, and me, or YUM, as I call it. As such, I want to talk about the experiences we bring into our future in current relationships. We have heard terms like emotional baggage or luggage, and how previous situations and experiences can influence and impact how we behave and interact. I want to explore that and use some of my own personal examples, and show how these dynamics impact and impair your endeavors. I guess the elephant in the room would have to do with the fact that if you've been in more than one romantic relationship, or even if you have ever had friendships that soured over time, it can hurt us and affect us deeply in ways we may or may not be immediately aware of. That trauma may be on the surface or could be subconscious, and comes out and displays itself in a bunch of ways. One of the biggest examples being if someone cheated on you, chances are you will be less trusting of future partners, and it will make you apprehensive to enter into relationships without paranoia and a sense of possessiveness that is hard to manage or control. It could cause toxic behaviors like invading your partner's personal space and things, falsely accusing them of shady behavior, and being generally suspicious of anything that triggers those feelings of jealousy and resentment. This new person could very well be doing some of those things, but here are a few things I have learned and realized in my pursuit of healthy relationships with people I see potential futures with. First, I'm truly sorry if someone broke your heart or ruined your trust, but you have to teach yourself that that was one individual and you shouldn't base your future relationships on failed past ones. That's another thing. After you get out of something, you need to give yourself time to grieve because it is a loss, and you have to do some self-auditing and think about how it affected you. And more importantly, how could you be more present and complementary to any future people that enter your life? We are not always just part of the solutions, we are also part of the problems in our lives. Having self-accountability, for instance, in my first romantic relationship, we spent a lot of time at home as we both enjoyed homebody activities and hobbies, but there were times when she would recommend going out and doing things outdoors. I would mostly refuse because of my work schedule and being exhausted a lot of the time, but that was selfish and not a good enough reason to not do some of the things that she wanted to do, and I should have planned more dates outside of us just being indoors. I realized any future relationships require me to sometimes step out of my comfort zone and to be more aware of the needs of my partner. Sometimes, when you are the most exhausted is when you need to put forth the most effort, and I have since carried that lesson into future relationships with friends and partners included. That's just one example, but it's important to be honest with yourself about things like that. Nobody is perfect and we all have blind spots, but it's taking the time to really think about those things and instead of just reacting to situations, really finding the time to sit down and figure out, or at least try to see what you could do better. More importantly, in looking for new romantic interests, I do not compare any of their actions to previous situations, even if there are some similarities. We have to know at the end of the day, if we really want to move on and evolve, we have to choose partners for who they are, and not because they are like or unlike someone in our past. Seeing things in that light allows you to more honestly assess the health and life of this bond. So often I have seen friends and family enter a feedback loop where they just try to find, quote-unquote, a new person, and I use quotes that exhibit the positive qualities they enjoyed in previous relationships. However, we are also looking for negative qualities we have hated in the past as well. The problem is as soon as something inevitably sparks up hurtful memories, or you notice what appear to be some of the same negative behaviors, it will trigger that cycle of toxic relationships and false starts with new people. Whether you believe in a higher power or divine forces in the universe, I believe that we will keep being presented with the same scenarios over and over until we are willing to not only face them, but accept them so we can move past them. You will essentially keep choosing the same types of people you do not have success with until you accept the how and why it didn't work. To go back to the jealousy angle, it is mostly a selfish emotion. How? Well, until you've established enough runway with this new person to find new insecurities, if they even exist, you would essentially be bringing old fears and concerns into this relationship. All of your jealousy is based off of the hurt feelings you had from a prior situation you didn't properly grieve and come to terms with. You then start to, in essence, acting out and being paranoid and suspicious even when there's no reason to be. People will do what they want to do. If you have to worry about someone cheating on you or lying to you, then maybe that person is not for you, and you have to really assess your self-worth. If you are doing all you can to be supportive, nurturing, be a supportive, nurturing, passionate, and caring partner, then that is all anyone can ask for. If it doesn't work out, that is not necessarily an indictment on your character. Another issue that arises is when we do open ourselves up and things don't work out, we then feel betrayed, and as a result, when looking for new situations, we in fact try to, quote-unquote, game the system. We say things like, well, I'm going to make sure they care about me or love me more than I do them. That way, if things go south, I won't feel bad. If you're familiar with alchemy, and even if you are not, it states that you cannot get something out of nothing. You have to pay a price and exchange energy or resources in order to receive something of equal exchange and value. If you don't love with the same intensity and caring you did whenever you first experienced passion and romance, you will never get to a level of true happiness and harmony within that relationship. Like energy meets like energy. And while it may not be immediately apparent, if you try to take love from someone without giving back an equal amount, it will erode your relationship from the inside out, whether you realize it on the surface or not. It's why it is important to sit down with ourselves and really think about how our relationships affected us, see what we can do better in the future, accept the circumstances, and move on. You will not only be happier and more secure with yourself, you will give yourself a chance to look for a healthy, meaningful relationship with someone that you can grow further with, not just repeat the same negative feedback loops over and over again with damaged people like yourself. Attraction isn't always a choice. We like who we like, but we must think about why. And if you keep having diminishing returns, it really isn't them, it's you. We cannot control others, but we can control ourselves. With some work, we can be responsible for how we feel and how we allow things to affect us short-term and long-term. Even when things haven't worked out, as long as you know in your heart you tried your best and it wasn't a total crapshoot, you did get experience, and at some points, joy out of the situation, you cut your losses, you grieve and accept that it's over in a romantic sense, and when you are ready to give someone else, someone new, a chance to build something fresh together, then go for it. Until then, you should work on self and really define your own happiness and knowledge of self. Pay attention to things like who you are, what you're willing to offer, and if things don't work out, accepting that is a growing process and you will learn and thrive from it. This has been Emotional Bandwidth. I'm Adrian. See you next time.